Let me tell you the story of the most powerful Orisha in the Yoruba Kingdom, a god of unparalleled might, whose name echoes across the heavens and the earth, Shango. His origins are shrouded in mystery. Some whisper that he was a divine being who descended into the realm of mortals. Others claim he was a mortal who ascended to the heavens, becoming a god through his unyielding will and extraordinary deeds. But one truth remains constant. Shango is a force to be reckoned with, a god of fire, thunder, and justice, the embodiment of strength and charisma. He was once a king, ruling with wisdom and power, but his destiny stretched far beyond the mortal throne. Enemies trembled at the sound of his name, storms bowed to his will, and flames danced in his presence. Yet, like a raging storm, Shango vanished from the eyes of mortals, leaving behind tales of his greatness. Some say he watches from the shadows, protecting the Yoruba kingdom still. Others say he prepares for a battle that will shake the heavens. And it is here in the ancient city of Oyo that our story unfolds. Amadioha sat at a corner table in a bustling restaurant in the heart of Oyo. The room was alive with chatter and laughter, a symphony of human life that filled the air alongside the rich aroma of spicy yam porridge and freshly tapped palm wine. The thunder god, his divine aura carefully restrained, sipped from a wooden cup, his senses attuned to the vibrant energy of the city. He observed the locals with quiet admiration. Their movements, their voices, even their laughter carried a sense of respect and tradition. The Yoruba are reserved yet deeply rooted in their customs, he thought. Compared to the fiery, independent spirit of his Igbo people, there was a grace to the Yoruba that intrigued him. A small smile crept onto his lips as he reflected on the Igbo. The Igbo take after my spirit, he mused. Warriors, resourceful, unyielding in their defiance. He thought of the countless stories of his people standing against subjugation, their pride as sharp as any weapon. It was a trait he shared with them, a bond that tied him to his mortal worshippers. But his thoughts were not without shadows. Orunmila's voice echoed in his mind, recounting the future of the Yoruba and Igbo. A time will come when these two great kingdoms will stand on opposite paths, one embracing the gods of another land, the other clinging to its own essence. He wondered if Orunmila had foreseen this exact moment, him sitting quietly among mortals in Oyo, preparing for a fateful encounter. "Ah, stranger!" a cheerful voice interrupted his musings. Amadioha turned to see a man with a broad grin and curious eyes approaching his table. "You look like you're not from around here." "I'm a traveler," Amadioha replied, his voice calm but carrying a hint of intrigue. "I've heard much about Oyo and its people. I wanted to see it for myself." The man, introducing himself as Ad, sat down uninvited. "Then you've come to the right place. Oyo is the heart of the Yoruba kingdom, where tradition and power thrive side by side." Amadioha leaned forward slightly, feigning curiosity. "And what makes this kingdom so special?" Ade's eyes gleamed. "It is our history, our culture, and our protector." "Have you heard of Shango?" Amadioha's face remained neutral, though his curiosity deepened. "I've heard whispers. Tell me more." Ade's tone grew reverent. "Shango was not just a king, he was a legend. They say he commanded the storms and wielded fire as a weapon. Enemies feared his very name, and his people adored him. He was the kind of leader who could make the earth tremble and the heavens roar." "And now?" Amadioha asked. "Where is he?" Ade's expression darkened for a moment before softening. "Some say he vanished, but I don't believe that. Shango doesn't abandon his people. When the storms rage and the fires burn, I know he's still watching, protecting us from the shadows." Ade's grin widened as he leaned forward, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Let me tell you a story, one that every child in Oyo grows up hearing. It was a time when the enemies of the Yoruba kingdom grew bold. They came from the north, fierce raiders with no gods, only steel and fire. They thought themselves unstoppable. He paused for effect, his voice lowering, but they didn't know Shango. Amadioha, intrigued, set his cup down and gestured for Ade to continue. Ade's voice grew animated. The raiders marched on Oyo, burning everything in their path. They thought our walls would crumble before their siege, that our people would bow before their swords. But then the skies darkened. Thunder rumbled louder and louder until it drowned out the sound of their war drums. Amadioha's lips curved slightly in an appreciative smile. And what did Shango do? Ade sat back, his eyes gleaming with pride. He appeared atop the walls, his double-headed axe in hand. He didn't wear armor. He didn't need it. His body was a fortress, his power unmatched. They say he raised his axe to the sky, and in that moment the heavens obeyed. Lightning struck their siege engines, setting them ablaze. Fire rained from the sky, consuming their ranks. Ade leaned closer, his voice dropping to an almost reverent hush. But the greatest part of the story, the enemy commander, a giant of a man, challenged Shango. He called him a coward who hid behind storms. "Shango!" He laughed, a deep, booming laugh that made the very ground shake. He leapt from the walls, landing in the midst of their army. With every swing of his axe, lightning followed, striking down men and melting steel. Amadioha's expression remained calm, but his mind reeled at the imagery. "And the commander?" he asked, though he already anticipated the answer. Ade's grin turned feral. Shango dragged him to the center of the battlefield. He raised his axe high, and a bolt of lightning struck, splitting the earth beneath their feet. The commander fell, swallowed by the storm and flames. The rest of the army scattered, terrified. And Shango stood there, unscathed, a living god in the eyes of all who saw him. Amadioha couldn't suppress a chuckle. "A bit dramatic, don't you think?" Ade shrugged, unbothered. "Perhaps. But dramatic or not, Shango's power is real. Even now we believe he protects us. When storms rage and fires burn, we know he's still out there." Ade, eager to share more of Yoruba culture, insisted on taking Amadioha to a local festival. The streets of Oyo came alive with vibrant colors, rhythmic music, and the infectious energy of celebration. Drummers pounded talking drums, their beats carrying messages to the gods. Women in radiant aso-oke fabrics danced with grace, their movements telling stories of bravery and divinity. Amadioha moved through the crowd, his senses heightened. The festival was more than a celebration. It was a tapestry of the Yoruba spirit. He admired their reverence for the Orishas, their pride in their heritage. The air was electric, charged with the collective faith of the people. Ade pointed out different elements of the festival, explaining their significance. "That dance over there is for Oshun, the goddess of beauty and love. And those drummers, they're calling out to Ogun, the god of war and iron." Amadioha listened intently, nodding occasionally, but his thoughts drifted. The energy of the festival, the unity of the people, it was a reminder of what gods fought to protect. And yet, it also reflected their flaws. Pride, ambition, and rivalry were as present among mortals as they were among gods. As he watched a group of children perform a skit about Shango's legendary battles, a thought struck him. "Orunmila," he mused silently. "Did you foresee this as well? Is this why you sent me to find him first?" The festival wound down, and Amadioha found himself back at the restaurant, sipping another cup of palm wine. He reflected on what he had seen, the strength of the Yoruba people, their connection to their gods. And Ade's stories of Shango lingered in his mind. Humans are remarkable, he thought, fragile, yet their spirits burn with a fire even gods must admire. They worship us, but perhaps we are the ones who should be learning from them. A faint smile played on his lips. The storm clouds gathering in the distance felt like a premonition. Shango, he thought, a god whose power rivals my own. If he truly watches from the shadows, then he already knows I am here. He finished his drink and stood, the faint hum of thunder echoing in the back of his mind.